How you doing,
All right.
David? You doing all
I'm
right?
doing good, man. How are you?
I'm good. Congrats on the movie coming out, dude.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
You're like in the midst of like the marathon right before the movie comes out. Are you freaking out
The,
or what?
I mean, if you were to monitor my heart, you'd probably say yeah. It's really nerve-wracking. You put so much time, so much blood, sweat, and tears into something, especially when you're making it independently and you're making it for noble reasons. This isn't just a piece of business like this. When you make an independent movie, there's so much meaning that goes into it. And for me, this really is like harkening back to my childhood. Like I loved going to the movie theaters with my dad, and it was some of our most meaningful times. I get my popcorn, my bunch of crunch, my soda. He picked me up from school, and we'd go see movies. And there was tons of movies back in the day that I could watch and he could watch, and we both get something from it. And so to me, when I read the script, like that's exactly the feeling that I got, and I was like, this can mean something to kids. Like some of those memories I have as a kid really meant something to me. Being with my dad in a theater and both of us getting something, both of us feeling the same things, and then talking about that later really meant something for me. So, I care a lot about it, and there's a lot in this film, and I'm excited for people to see it. But it's nerve wracking because it's your baby.
It is. And Geekscape is the link to find out where it's playing near you is monstersummermovie.com. And I tell you, I had a day yesterday. The Geekscapists know I have a 2 month old, and we were at a hospital yesterday, and I sent
Uh,
thanks to everybody at 42 West because I literally texted them last night because midday I said, guys, I'm dealing with a bunch of this stuff. I don't know if I can do the David's conversation, but I wanted to so badly to talk filmmaking with you. And I think it was 7 o'clock last night when I hit up 42 West on a text after seeing the trailer. And then I saw the movie this morning and saying, okay, it's Goonies, it's Monster Squad, it's Spielbergian, it's like all that Spielbergian award. It's all those
yeah.
things. And then, David's got this first film, and it's important. It is really important because if it works, there's film number two, and if there's second, and if for some reason, and I think this movie's going to work because it worked for me, and it's got stars in it, and it's got heart. That if it's hard to go back to the drawing board and be like, okay, how do you get that second movie? So
Yeah.
Geekscape is
Yeah.
you got to show up for this, and there's a reason that David,
Yeah.
his heart is pounding. Uh, the first thing that popped out at me when I started watching the actual film, I want to talk about that relationship with Larry Blanford. Larry
Yes.
Blanford, your DP, because
Yes.
that there's a lot of aerial photography in this movie, which is beautiful and it gives you the spirit of the film. But this guy's a master. He was like a
Yeah.
camera electrical on Top Gun, the first one, and he's worked on all the movies we love, many of which you're putting the Easter eggs in, the Spielberg movies, the Zemeckis movies, all those. He's worked on those freaking movies.
Yeah. 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 Hire your weaknesses. And I was like, look, I've grown up in this business. I've been in this business a very long time. I know what I know by being an actor. I'm very comfortable on set. I know how to work with the actors. I love movies. So I knew what my strengths would be, and I knew what my weaknesses would be. And I knew I needed someone who knew this kind of Amblin-esque world we were trying to create for people to escape to. And you said it yourself. He came out of the Air Force and was a cameraman on the original Top Gun. He's been doing this for a long freaking time. He knows his business really well. And I told him, I was like, man, come have fun. You've been doing these huge studio movies where you got, where things can be very routine. And come have fun again. Come create a palette. Come create nostalgia with me, and let's have a freaking blast. And he did. He really elevated the look and feel of this film, and I was so grateful to have his wisdom.
And he's the DP here. And Geekscape is to put it in context. Um, as a DP, he did a great job, but prior to this, he's doing second unit directing or the DP. And again, like when I'm talking about the guy is working on Minority Report, The Rock, Broken Arrow for John Woo, Glory Days with Ben Affleck, shout out. That's another indie. Armageddon doesn't get much bigger than those. Uh, you know, Tears of the Sun, SpongeBob SquarePants, not gonna knock it because those live action sequences are awesome. Smoking Aces, that's Joe Carnahan. Not at the museum. Like Sean Levy just had the biggest movie of the summer with the Wolverine Deadpool
Yep.
movie, but then he did also work on X-Men Origins Wolverine. He worked on a couple of the X-Men movies for Singer, Terminator movies. Ghostbusters Afterlife, like you took somebody who was really working his way up as DP, doing a lot of second unit, doing some directing on second unit, and you gave him the keys to the look of your movie. What did you
Yeah.
learn from him as a director, as a DP? Because you grew up as an actor on multicam,
Yes.
and now you're
Yes.
like one cam, make decisions, let's go.
Yes, his grasp of the fundamentals were so strong, um, and that impressed me the most. Go smaller to go bigger. A scene
How
that
does
might
that
be
work?
written
Yeah,
a scene that might
sorry.
be written a certain way. Like let's say a big sequence that might take place across a couple maybe company moves, right? He's like, you know what? That's going to spread us thin. How do we do this all in one so I could put all my resources behind this one thing and make this one thing look big? And then how do you do something simply, right? How do you not overcomplicate it? Because the enemy of all independent film is time. So he would have a way of just doing something simply that would save us a ton of time. He'd always look for windows. He'd always put a huge light outside of the windows and blast that window to give you this nice fuzzy warm feeling in the background of scenes. And him and I were both very conscious of smoking up scenes a little bit, even if it didn't make any sense. Just give a couple squirts of the smoke machine. That just creates a nice atmosphere in the room, so it doesn't feel stale and empty. Um, his fundamentals were real, and he knows every trick in the book too. He knows every trick in the book. Something that a less experienced DP, because when you're doing an independent film, time's the enemy, and you just got to make your day. And a lot of less experienced DPs would have panicked in certain situations where he's been in it a million times, and he would just go, "I know what to do." He'd call his crew, "Give me a light, throw it here. If I got to hold the diffuser, I'll hold it myself."
Sure.
Like just because I know we're in a pinch here. Um, and that wisdom and that leadership allowed everyone working under him to really work hard because they knew if he's calling for something, he's not experimenting. He knows exactly what he's looking for. But him and I felt like two kids again. I think he felt like a kid working with me because I think I probably gave him a freedom that a lot of people wouldn't, because I trust him implicitly. We had all the right meetings ahead of time to get synced up on vision, and he just then he ran with it.
That's a really, really, really pretty movie. But now we go back to story, and as director, at the end of the day, your name's on this thing. Where there are situations where you're the new kid in the seat, and you go, "Nah, I'm gonna put a little bit of David on this one. This is at some point I have to put my signature on this moment, whether it's with the actors, whether it may be with a move or a moment, maybe it needed to be closer, maybe it needed to pull out, whatever you wanted to do to try it. Were there moments where you said, hold up, there's something in me, the director, that needs to put the two
Yeah.
cents in?
Yeah, there was a lot of those moments, and they're all on the cutting room floor.
What?
The the problem with really beautiful shots and really, gorgeous oneers is they might not fit the flow of the film when you see it in the
Yes.
overall tapestry, so you got to do its best for the story.
You were
That's
trying
a
to
bit of
pull some of that stuff, huh? You were getting a little fancy
totally.
pants, weren't you?
I was getting a little fancy pants, and that was a great lesson for me to learn. Is at the end of the day, tell the story, tell the story, tell the story, and that's what
Yeah.
matters the most. And so it's kind of a joke, but to get to the heart of your question, like the whole movie was really me just trying to tell the story through the eyes of Noah. So make things seem a little bigger than reality. Make it create a spirit of optimism, create a Rockwellian hope in the film, despite the spooky genre,
Sure.
that you can kind of escape to. That was my goal, and I studied a lot of Spielberg to kind of see how he portrays children and how he brings their eyes to life and how they see the world to life throughout the film. And I tried to do as much of that to the best of my ability. For instance, there's a scene in the treehouse, right? And there's a random stained glass window in the treehouse, and you're like, why would there be a stained glass window in the treehouse? Because it looks really cool and it creates a really fun, beautiful visual. And then that's what Spielberg did in the closet in E.T. People asked him, like, why is there a stained glass window in a closet in E.T.? That makes no sense. And he and his EP had a conversation about it, and they were just like, because it looks cool. It's a movie. Let's
Yeah.
create a fun, magical feeling in this room because this is like their church. And that's what we did in the treehouse as well. So it really was story focused, and I was happy with the end product.
No, I love the moments where you're just alone with the character, and there's a place later in the movie where the storylines kind of diverge, and you get Mel Gibson by himself, and like the movie star factor kicks in. Nothing against the younger actors. You are a younger actor yourself, but what do you learn when you're in that sequence in the VW bug in the race sequence? There's a lot of silent acting in there where there's not where the script is going, but it's not uh, being said. It's him discovering things and putting things into action fast. The movie kicks up a little bit in that VW
Yes.
sequence where he's putting things together. What did you learn about that?
I learned so much from Mel the entire time, especially because he's an Oscar-winning director.
Totally.
So to get to direct an Oscar-winning director was a crazy experience. And I've
Were you
studied all
scared?
of his movies. I like all of his
Were
movies
you
he's
scared though?
directed.
Were
Like,
you like, how do I
oh,
give
I
him
was
direction?
terrified.
Totally.
Dude, I was terrified. Yeah, like how do you direct freaking Mel Gibson, Oscar-winning director? I was terrified. And I remember I showed up to the first meeting like, how am I going to do this? This guy is a towering figure in cinema history. Like he's directed 5 movies, and not only have they all made money, I think 3 of them have been nominated for Best Picture. Like, who's got a hit ratio like that? That's crazy. So yeah, this dude's a real deal. But I remember I just went in there and I was like, you know what, David, just just pitch your heart out, and then if he hates you, at least you went out swinging.
Yes.
And that's what I did. I just walked into the meeting. I said exactly my vision. I'm a heavy preparer. I've just been on so many sets where directors are not prepared that
It drives you nuts. And you're
that's
the
the
actor. And you're standing there watching this person.
yes.
Who's running the show over here?
Who's running the show? And then other people try to step up and do it, and that creates power dynamics and tensions and all sorts of stuff. So I love the Hitchcock school where I'm like, you know what? I'm so prepared that I get on set and I get bored because I know exactly. I'm 10 steps ahead. I know exactly what it is. So I came to the table very prepared. I had my references. I had my all my storyboards and I was just like
Floor
ready
plans?
to go. Yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
floor plans are I love
Yeah,
the floor
floor. I love. I
plans.
love overheads. I love overheads. I
The
love
best.
blocking,
Right.
dude. Love it. Love it. Blocking's a whole. We
The
could talk about
storyboards
that
are
for an.
great, but Geekscape is there's a lot of people behind you holding sandwiches and like equipment, being like, all right, what's next? And like without a floor plan, you don't know where
Yeah,
those people are standing. You don't know where your turnarounds are. You don't know how you gotta like clean out and rotate, like do a turnaround and
yeah,
relight things. And you know, once you do a turnaround, you're not going back because
yep,
those people holding the sandwiches are gonna think you don't know what you're doing.
yep. I
Floor
know,
plans,
absolutely,
baby.
absolutely, absolutely. It's a big deal. So I had all that. I was ready, and after 15 minutes, he could tell, like, okay, he was basically like, okay, you know what you're doing. Let's get to work, kid. And then we just sat and talked for 2 hours, like story, script, and everything. And he genuinely liked the script. For him, it was a different project. He hasn't done a family movie since Pinocchio, and I
Whoa.
don't think he's ever done a family live action film. He's only done voiceover stuff. So, like the fact that he's in like this, I call it gateway horror, but it's like spooky stuff for kids. Like the fact that he's in this goosebumpsy kind of R.L. Steiny feeling thing. Um, is so different for him, and he loved that. He brought his 13-year-old and his 8-year-old to the premiere, which I don't know if he's ever done before, um, because he was having fun. He got to be a kid again. He sat next to me the whole time. He didn't go in his dressing room, not once. Like
Because
he
he's a
just sat like a
filmmaker.
kid in a candy store pitching ideas, and that's someone I learned a ton from. I learned so much from him.
Yeah. When they go to the dressing room, like your tools, if you're going to improvise something, if you got an idea, your tools aren't at your fingertips. They're in the freaking dressing room. So that's, he probably acknowledges that. And Geekscape us who are listening to this being like, would I be into this movie? Like it is Goonies-esque, but also the second you see that treehouse, you tell me whether or not this is true, David. I thought of Monster Squad, Fred Decker's movie Monster
Oh yeah,
Squad. Yeah. I
yes.
was like, dude just pulled a treehouse of the Monster Squad fame and yep, he prettied up the treehouse just like Fred Decker did with Monster Squad, like
Oh
straight
yeah.
up.
I modeled it based on the Monster Squad treehouse. We couldn't make one as quite as big and elaborate as that, but I
That's
added some layers and dimension into the treehouse so it didn't feel so boxed in.
yeah. So the second I saw your treehouse, I was like, that's the Monster House treehouse. Which brings me back and like Fred Decker and of course the actors from Monster Squad have been on this podcast several times and Geekscape, it goes back to the importance of you guys showing up for David, who took his time out of his schedule to come be with us. Because Fred Decker is somebody who, after Monster Squad didn't make its budget back when it came out, I don't know what was going on in '89, whenever it came out, but like Fred had to fight to do the next one. Next one, I think, ended up being RoboCop 3. Yeah, he's got a jetpack in RoboCop 3. I don't know. But we love Fred. We all know as Monster Squad fans that now, the way Hollywood is now, you don't get a long tail for your movie to find its audience because the churn of streaming and all this. So you guys got to go and check this movie out when it hits the theaters, when it's on streaming. You guys have to show up for David. Um,
Thank you, man. And
because
for millennials
yeah,
out there too, this is a love letter to some of the movies we grew up with. Or if you're in your 30s or 40s, this is a love letter to films you grew up with. I mean, there are shots that I'm directly paying homage to Richard Donner, or Steven Spielberg, or even Ron
Zemeckis, we talked about
Howard,
Zemeckis, yeah.
Zemeckis. I mean, there's
Hmm.
some stuff I'm like directly tipping my hat to in the film.
Yeah. So Geekscapes, I think you're gonna have fun with the Easter eggs. I think you're gonna have fun with the story. David, it's quite an accomplishment. My friend Kat is a big Wizards of Waverly Place fan. I'm a little older for that
Yeah,
series, but
yeah.
she wanted to know, and maybe this is the answer that you're on the show about now, but if you weren't an actor, she's a big fan of you as an actor. If you weren't an actor, what would you have done? Maybe something not entertainment focused at all.
Yeah, so if it wasn't, I think I would have gone into some sort of architecture or design because I just love creating worlds and like I'm so visual. I love creating feelings. Like my wife and I, were very blessed that we got to build a home. And that was such a joy for us where everyone else I talk to who builds a house is like, it was the worst thing in the world. I'll never do it again. It was hell. It was pure hell. And I just ate it up every step of the way because you're getting to create to me, I look at it as a little movie. I got to create a little world. You create a feeling right when you walk in. You want to create a statement, something that says what the tone of this house is. Like I get all into it. So I definitely think I'd be something in the design, something in the real estate design world for sure.
And that's not too far off from the pre-production phase where you're like, I'm going to design a haunted house. I'm going to lead people through these experiences one after another and bring them into my world. And I'm not going to inundate them. I'm going to meet them halfway and see what their experiences are that they're bringing across my threshold
Yep.
and see what we make together, which is such a cool thing about art and film. Do you have an idea for the next project?
There's a couple things that look, if that like
Don't say
people
if.
would give people give Spielberg. I remember during Spielberg's early work, people give him a lot of crap because it was like they were like, "Oh, it's just popcorn, or it's just candy stuff, or it's just
He
blockbuster
worked
stuff."
so
And
hard. When you watch The Duel, he's putting the camera every single place he could because maybe he doesn't direct again. The Duel,
and and
he's putting the camera everywhere,
yes, yes. And
everywhere.
that commentary infuriates me because he has a lot deeper and richer themes, and he's contributing so much to cinema in everything that he does. Every single shot is a masterclass, and it just but in production design, in cinematography, and blocking, and prop work, and I mean, you
Multiple
name it.
cylinders
It's
on at once. He's working on more. I mean,
shots
he's
turning
just
into
going.
shots, all feeling purposeful and meaningful. That breaks my heart. And I'm like, you know what? You got to make movies. You got to make movies you love, and I love entertaining popcorn movies that have more heart. So for me, like I really hope this works because it will give me a chance to continue to make those kinds of movies and hopefully in even bigger ways, but big commercial fun movies that have a lot of heart and that don't forget that the camera is a way to tell a story and you should be contributing all the elements to tell a story. You'll never see something just phoned in for that I'm involved in. It's never just master over. I mean, you what does the scene need, and how do you make it? How do you use all the elements at your disposal to make it better?
Good, and I'm glad that you don't just master over and over. I mean, it's okay for a lot of stuff, but not a
Yeah,
film. It's okay for a
yeah.
movie, not a film. So, you know what? I can't wait for you to do it, and I can't wait for you to come back on Geekscape and talk about it. And I can't wait for this one to be a success. The next time your DP goes, we don't got time for a oneer. You go, you take out the monocle, you put it on, and go, I'm sorry, but this is my film, and I'm doing it. And then let's see more of the art come out. You know, you got your sea legs on this one. Let's see the next one, and let's have you back on Geekscape, dude. Thanks so
I
much
would
for
love
coming
that,
on,
bro.
man.
Thank you, and thank you for the time. And I hope your son's okay. As you probably
My
heard,
daughter, yeah, oh,
I got a few
she's
little ones.
great, and
Oh, your
oh,
daughter.
dude,
Okay.
she's amazing. She's the best.
Good, good,
I'll see you
good,
around,
good, good.
David.
Later,
Thanks, man.
brother. Thank you, man.
Bye.